the memories, the feelings, the thoughts, the spirals, like they keep coming back. You're not missing your ex necessarily. I mean, of course you do. But what you're missing is that social. Sometimes divorce or breakup happens prematurely. So, why gay men specifically can't get over their exes after divorce, after long term relationship, or after breakup? Because I know no matter if it is a divorce or breakup, that that issue still is coming up for so many gay men. So we're gonna break it down today. If you're new to me, my name is Eugene Berezin. I am a registered hypnotherapist in the state of Washington. My background, I worked as a psychotherapist in Moscow, Russia. I built private practice back then in Moscow. I work in a variety of settings. In the US, I was working as a case manager, social worker, youth counselor, you name it. And now I practice clinical hypnotherapy in my private practice as a registered hypnotherapist. And I'm going to tell you about clinical hypnotherapy a little bit later in this video and how it can play out in this situation specifically. But now let's put everything together and think about why people can't get over, why gay men can't get over their exes. So, again, big disclaimer, it is a YouTube video and I can cover every single situation in details, and it's a multi-layer answer. So let's start with the obvious. Number one, grief. Grief. Many people think that grief only happens when somebody transitions or passes away. Grief happens when you lose something or someone in your life, even if they are not necessarily transitioned or passed away. When it comes to divorce and breakup, grief is a very important thing. It's really important component here. And the function of grief is actually to process and create that separation. Because when you live with somebody for a long time and you build together a life together, even if it is problematic, even if you went through the whole lot of things with that person a lot of the time gave you one thing for your brain to actually keep craving that person. And that thing is stability. You know what to expect. Even if it was bad relationship, you know you have the rituals, you have you have typical things that you are doing together. And if you live together for a long time, and especially if it was a good relationship, it's really hard to get over. And grief, right? It's not just stages of grief. All stages of grief that you might know of, like for example, anger, bargaining, acceptance, you name it. It's not like stage by stage. It's not like that you first in denial and then you're angry that and then you're bargaining. And it goes in waves, right? And it can hit you from different places. And it doesn't go away with time completely. It might subside, but it doesn't go away with time completely. So when it comes to that portion, when you can get over your ex and it's still coming up and it's still you can get over it. So I invite you to actually look at it if you had to rebuild your life from scratch again without that person, because your brain created pathways, created association with that person, favorite places, favorite restaurants, favorite movies, favorite activities, hikes, parks, travel, you name it. So you gotta build it yourself, either with another person. And by the way, I made a video on the rebound relationship, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with a rebound if you approach it correctly. I will link, this is on my channel, so go look at my channel, like the divorce after 30, and I put a video specifically about rebound. But when you are building this new mental map, you can do it by yourself. Travel by yourself. Self-care by yourself. Create your own unique experiences by yourself or with another person. And this is really important caveat. This is something that you have to talk to your new person. They should not bring up the old relationship, and it's one of the boundaries that you have to create. For example, I told you on my channel before that I got divorced with my husband. We reconciled. But also in between, when we were separate, like I was in another relationship. And what was coming up for me back then, that another person would constantly bring my old relationship back. And it's kind of like a mental trigger. And it's kind of coming back. And it's kind of like reminder, like, hey, but you had this great thing with that person. Hey, but you know what I mean? So this is the boundary that I believe that you should not cross, and you should communicate with your new partner that yes, it is fresh, but in order to recover and heal and move forward, it is important to respect that boundaries and not touch that memory. Or when you need to process something, you have to establish clear communication. How do you do that with your new partner in a way that it's not just reminiscing about past life, about your past partner, and you actually start craving and missing the old partner more than you are attracted and in love with your new partner. That is really essential. That is really essential, and that is a skill. Another thing is, we talk about grief, we talk about the social architecture, right? So, if your ex husband provided you the source of social support, the source of friends, like social network, the source of everything else social, and all of a sudden your husband is gone, your friends are gone, you're extremely lonely. You're not necessarily craving and missing your husband, you're missing the social structures that used to be there. And it's really real, because families, when people build together, it's very much possible that one person can be very social and have a lot of numerous connections with other people, and when it falls apart, those social connections go with the other person. You're not missing your ex necessarily. I mean, of course you do, but what you're missing is that social architecture, the social infrastructure that you used to have with your ex-partner. It's not there anymore. So the practical step there is actually start reconnecting with the community. I know it's not easy, and especially if back then you rely on your husband or ex-husband to build social infrastructure for two of you. Now, and it's just you. Now it's adapting and adjusting the skill set to build your social infrastructure. And this is where I want to pause. How do you actually do that? And it has something to do with the skill set development. And this is why sometimes talk therapy, and by the way, talk therapy is amazing. I'm for talk therapy. I worked as a therapist for many, many years, and I'm expanding my practice to do addiction counseling and addiction therapy. But at the same time, I want to say that sometimes in those instances, talk therapy may not be as effective, not because it is not effective, but because there is lacking definition of healing. What is healing? I actually made a video about that, why therapy is not working, or you tried therapy and it didn't work. Now what? It's because it was missing the definition, the goal of healing. And the goal of healing for you might be skill set development, how to develop your social network, your social infrastructure. And this is specifically what I do in my private practice Through motivational interviewing, I cannot hypnotize you into making friends. This is bullshit, and this is not how clinical hypnosis work. We do we do motivational interviewing in an evidence-based approach that can be used in guidance, in coaching, in therapy, you name it. What I provide in clinic is clinical hypnotherapy, motivational interviewing in the context of skill set development and guidance. Specifically, it is not psychotherapy, but it's guidance for you to rebuild your life, again with a very specific focus. I need to rebuild my life. And we use clinical hypnotherapy to manage your stress, to strengthen that skill set, because skill set or skills are, these are neural connection in our brain. And clinical hypnotherapy can be extremely useful when you are developing new skill. So for integration, for strengthening, for managing your stress, for managing your grief too. So that is an excellent point. And you can book an appointment with me on my website. And you can also learn more about motivational interviewing and clinical hypnotherapy and how I specifically provide services as a registered hypnotherapist in Washington State. And I work throughout, like, internationally and in the United States through telehealth, through Zoom. So that is really important. And what I mean, you're not just missing a person, you're missing what was like the social infrastructure. So another thing that you might be missing about your ex, and especially if, like, sometimes has passed, and might be an unhealthy pattern that some gay men might have, and you were using another person as a way to regulate yourself through their care, through their love, through their attention. And now, because dating and finding another person is hard, now you develop this really almost addictive. I hate to use words addiction because it's not really addiction, but this mechanism when you use other person almost like a substance where you take validation from them and you're not really necessarily like them or love them. You are using them to regulate yourself, and nobody can quite fulfill the role of your ex-husband, the role of your ex-partner, as well as he did. This is your strongest drug, even though it is not an addiction, and it's not like codependency. It's really not a thing. Listen, not in DSM-5, but what I mean, just because we don't have clear diagnosis or clear criteria for that, it doesn't mean that those experiences are not real that you are experiencing in your life. But this is another issue, and this is how you can do that is, well, actually building social skills, right? Through, again, motivational interviewing and understanding your patterns and rewiring your patterns through motivational interviewing, clinical hypnosis. This is how I do it in my practice specifically. And also, it is really, really essential to understand that you may not be missing that person. You might be missing that regulation that you were getting from that person. So that's another pattern. There are a lot more patterns to it, and I simply don't have the whole time in the world to cover that. But when people are missing each other, the last pattern that I'm going to name, and it's what was relevant to my situation, because you might be thinking, Eugene, you didn't get over your ex, you got back together. What the fuck? I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes divorce or breakup happens prematurely. We're all human beings, and sometimes people don't have the language to articulate that they need space, that they need time, that they need resources, and what kind of resources do they need for transformation, for growth, for healing. And sometimes it means taking a break from your relationship and communicating clearly. I mean, it's really good and dandy when I say on YouTube video, but what was happening in our relationship specifically, that was the thing. And we got back together because we had some really, really big unfinished business together. It was not a breakup because we were not happy together. It was not a breakup because we were really done. It was breakup because my significant other, my husband, needed time to find meaning in his life because I had a meaning in my life. I had two careers. I had everything that anybody could have dreamed of. And my husband, he was on a journey finding his higher purpose in life. And one of the ways you can find healing in life is by finding higher purpose, something bigger than yourself. And sometimes it takes solitude to find higher purpose larger than yourself. So I'm just putting it out there. Sometimes it's not over. Sometimes it is unfinished business. And it doesn't mean that it is related to you. And it just doesn't mean that it is related one on one to you specifically. It just means that sometimes it happens. And when it happens, it is okay to open up communication. And in fact, we never closed communication. We were friends and we are quite like lifelong friends. We've been together for a long time. So that is another reason. It's it something may not be over, and breakup and divorce can be premature. You didn't work it out, but it was perfectly workable relationship. There was something there, and when you got back together, or when you get back together, it is it is about actually revisiting where not necessarily starting where you left off, but starting over because another person changed, you changed. I'm just putting it out there because people do get together, and what you don't want to do, you don't want to get together because you need your person to validate you, you need your person to regulate you, you need your person to fulfill your insecurity or shield you from your insecurity. You want to get back with another person because you just realize you are able to build together and it was premature. And that is a really good reason to get back together. I hope it helps. If you're looking for structural support, guidance, coaching, clinical hypnotherapy that helps you to get over your ex, find meaning in life, or maybe you are in this creative journey where you almost like have like midlife crisis, you thinking what is next for me. Check out my website, goodhypnotherapy.org. You can find everything about my background, what I've done for work in the past, the methodology that I'm using, and big important disclaimer, I am offering hypnotherapy, clinical hypnotherapy as a modality. It is not a replacement for talk therapy or working with other licensed mental health professional. I love you so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.